Welcome to BodyMind Living. I'm Carly Clark Zimmer. I'm a BodyMind coach and business consultant. And in this issue, we are talking about redefining grief. This was a tricky one. And as with all of the articles inside BodyMind Living, it's an opportunity for us to redefine what these words, what these feelings mean to ourselves. And as I was writing about redefining grief, I realized that grief is actually one of the experiences in my life that has brought me to coaching in the first place. It was seeing so many of the adults in my life be unable to really process grief and have rituals around grief and an understanding around grief and being able to feel what they actually wanted to feel in the moment. Instead, they were just kind of hurried through the process. And I think that can actually cause grief to hang out and to have a lot of this heavy energy over us for a lot longer than necessary. And so, as I'm writing this article, Redefining Grief, this imagery of actually opening the door to grief when it does come into our lives, and inviting it to dinner. Now, the funny thing is, we may not know ahead of time. And even if we do know ahead of time, we can't fully prepare for when grief is going to come in, what it's going to feel like. Even if you have lots of time to prepare, we can't really truly prepare for it. So there's an element of surrender that also comes when grief comes knocking at our door. But I'm curious, and my invitation for you today is to think about, what if when it does come knocking, instead of trying to ignore it or hurrying through a meal as quickly as possible, we opened the door, we took our time to let grief get settled at the table, we set the table with our finest tablecloth, and maybe some cloth linen napkins. We pulled out the fine china and we sat down and we actually allowed grief to have a chat with us. And we listened. We didn't drink too much wine to try to drown it out. We listened. And I think that's actually the opportunity that grief presents us in our lives. Yes, it's hard. It's not a comfortable feeling. But there's this element of an opening of a window into what it's like to let everything else fall away and fully be ourselves in the moment. I think this is what grief can actually invite us to do. When I think about the moments in my life where I've truly experienced grief, it's like this veil has been lifted and I just get to be who I am. And so that is my invitation for you today, is just to think about grief in a different way, because I think when you're allowed to fully feel and express yourself, the feelings move through you much quicker. You're able to process them much quicker. Joseph Campbell says, any feeling fully felt is bliss. And grief is this feeling that is allowing you to fully feel how you felt about that thing or that person or that animal or that job or that office space or scenario, whatever it was, right? Maybe it was even a part of yourself, like I talk about in the article. It was a part of myself that I had to grieve because that woman got me to where I was, but she wasn't coming with me moving forward. So there is an element of grieving. And what if we allowed ourselves to fully feel that and maybe even created a ritual around it? Maybe we write ourselves a letter and then bury it or burn it, right? Maybe, like I talk about in the article, I just walked, when we were hiking in the desert, I just let myself cry. I didn't care what anybody else thought. Right? And allow myself to fully be in that experience of what was being asked to be felt. So I look forward to hearing how you redefine grief. I look forward to hearing how you feel about inviting grief to your dinner table next time it comes knocking. And most importantly, I'll leave you with this. Don't be afraid of the feeling. Grief is not here to be heavy and linger around in a corner forever. It's here to give us the opportunity to be fully open with ourselves. And then from that experience, you get to choose what you want to do with it. You get to experience it for however long you need to. And don't rush yourself through this process.
This is Body Mind Living with Laura Wick. Thanks for watching.